The daughter-in-law who became a mother in a small town on the outskirts of Chicago lives Sana, a young woman full of dreams and hope. She was newly married to Ahmad, a quiet and responsible man who adored his mother, Amma Rahima. Sana had always imagined marriage as the beginning of a fairy tale, laughter, love, and family dinners. But when she entered her new home, she was greeted not by warmth, but by a long silence and a pair of sharp, watchful eyes. Amma Rahima was known in the neighborhood as a strict woman. She had lost her husband years ago and raised her only son alone. That experience had made her tough, protective, and a little difficult to please. The first few days after marriage passed in politeness. Sana would try to talk, smile, and help, but Amma remained distant. If Sana made tea, Amma would quietly remake it. If she cooked food, Amma would taste it and say, "Not bad, but this isn't how we make it here." Every word felt like a small cut to Sana's heart. At night, when Ahmad returned home, Sana would force a smile. She didn't want to complain. She didn't want to come between a mother and son. But when she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, she often felt like a guest in her own home. The turning point one evening in December, heavy snow began to fall. Ahmad had to leave town for a work trip, leaving Sana and Amma alone for a week. Sana felt nervous. A whole week without Ahmad meant facing Amma alone. The next morning, Sana found Amma coughing badly. Her face was pale and she refused to eat. "It's just a little cold," Amma said. But Sana could tell it was more than that. Without thinking twice, she rushed to the pharmacy, brought medicine, and made soup, the same recipe her own mother used to make when she was sick. When she came back to Amma's room, Amma was asleep, wrapped in a thin blanket. Sana quietly placed another blanket over her, set the soup beside her, and sat down to read quietly. When Amma woke up later, she saw Sana dozing off in the chair beside her bed. The soup was still warm. For the first time, Amma saw something she hadn't noticed before: the sincerity in her daughter-in-law's eyes. That evening, when Sana tried to leave, Amma said softly, "Stay. You remind me of my younger self. I used to do the same for my mother-in-law." That was the first time Amma called her Beta, my child. The bond that grew days turned into weeks, and things began to change slowly. Amma started sharing stories of her past, how she had raised Ahmad alone, how people had judged her, how loneliness had hardened her heart. Sana listened patiently, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing. In return, Sana shared her own fears, how she worried about not being good enough, how she missed her parents. They started cooking together, watching old TV shows, even teasing Ahmad when he came home. The house that once echoed with silence now filled with laughter and life. Ahmad noticed it too. One night he said to Sana, "You've done what I couldn't. You brought my mother back to life." Sana smiled. "She just needed love, Ahmad." Sometimes love doesn't need big words, just small kindness every day. The final goodbye years passed. Time changed everything, except the bond between the two women. Sana became more than a daughter-in-law. She became Amma's companion, her friend, her strength. But time is cruel. Amma's health started declining again. She was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. The doctor said she needed constant care. Sana stayed by her side day and night, feeding her, praying for her, reading the Quran softly at her bedside. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned golden, Amma held Sana's hand and whispered, "You came into my home as my son's wife, but you are leaving as my daughter. I was hard on you because I was afraid. I didn't want to lose my son, but I gained something even more precious." Tears rolled down Sana's face. She kissed Amma's forehead and said, "You never lost him, Amma. You gained another child." Amma smiled faintly, her last smile, and closed her eyes forever. The legacy of love. After Amma's passing, the house felt empty, but not cold. Sana kept Amma's photo in the living room, with fresh flowers beside it every day. She continued Amma's traditions, cooking her recipes, helping neighbors, and caring for the poor. One afternoon, Ahmad found Sana sitting by Amma's picture, speaking softly. "You taught me what motherhood means, Amma. Not by blood, but by love." Years later, when Sana herself became a mother-in-law, she remembered those early days, the fear, the loneliness, and the walls that love had broken. and she made a silent promise, greater than no daughter-in-law in my home will ever feel the way I once did. She kept that promise. Moral of the story. This story isn't just about a daughter-in-law and her mother-in-law. It's about understanding, patience, and the silent power of kindness. Families aren't built by rules or blood. They are built by hearts that choose to forgive, to accept, and to love. Every relationship begins with misunderstanding, but it can end in deep love, if only one person chooses compassion over pride.